All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the SVT podcast. I am in the driver's seat. My name is Vince. I got Sam and Tyler hanging out with me. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Good. How are you doing, brother?
I'm good.
I'm all right.
I
Yeah.
got this Monday night on. Raiders Lions. The Lions are up 3-0, but the defense holds to a field goal. I thought they were going to give up a touchdown right away, but here we go.
Yeah, I got the Warriors
stressed
on.
out this entire podcast.
I know, right? Yeah, I got the Warriors on. We're still in the first quarter right now, so still early. And it's a close score at the moment. Tyler, what are you watching in the background? I see something moving back there. I don't know what. You got the Warriors too?
I got the Warriors on too as well.
Okay.
I got a new monitor, which I can't show you because I don't want us to get taken down because we're not paid by the NBA to show their games.
Right.
But yeah, it's a sweet little monitor. I got rid of the TV that was back here, so been cranking that bad boy out.
Right on. So that's that there's the fun chit chat. We are going to start off with on a little bit of a somber note. Adam Johnson, a former NHL player, he actually he was playing in England and a horrific accident happened. He ended up taking a skate to the neck and passed away. The English Ice Hockey Association they canceled games for the next few days while they sort everything out. And the one thing that they've announced earlier today is that starting taking effect January 1st, 2024, basically every league except the top tier of English ice hockey is going to require neck protection. So that, I mean, it sucks that it took such a horrific accident injury for this to happen, but player safety is the most important thing. And I know some players say, like I saw in the comments, some people saying like, oh, it's really uncomfortable, it's really hot, I hope the tech is better than it was like when they were playing like years ago or whatever. But everybody adjust, like gets acclimated to the new gear or whatever. I mean, anytime there's any change to anything, it's just it's important, it's safety. And it's a bummer that it took someone losing his life, but I'm glad that they're reacting very quickly to require something basically in 2 months, which probably has no players have right now. So it's, they're saying 2 months to give people a chance to acquire all the neck protection needed. So it's an absolute just a devastating injury, and a lot of former Pittsburgh players. That's a team that he played on briefly. They had a lot of kind words to say, and just like everybody's just feeling it. And I don't know what else to add, man. It is a bummer, and it's so sad. And
Absolutely.
he wasn't even 30 years old. Rest in peace.
Yep,
Adam Johnson.
Yeah, I think that's the second time I've ever heard that ever happening.
Yeah. Oh, I think it happened like one time in the like 70s or something, and then it happened in like 2008. It's a very rare injury, but it's a bad one, man.
The one in the 70s was really not entertaining, but in the sense of miraculous, just because they had a ex-Vietnam medic in the stands who was able to save that guy's life. So that one was incredible.
The one that happened in 2008, they were able to it hit the carotid artery, and they were able to save him, and he was able to continue his career the following season. So it's a freak accident, and like I can't remember, like anytime somebody gets like dies or is close to death, like we saw with DeMar Hamlin last year, it's just a real wake-up call. It really it jars the system, I guess.
Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, so on that note, I guess
no smooth transition.
Let's transition. Let's just make this as awkward and clunky as possible. Vince, let's read the scores. Okay, Vince. On Thursday, the Buffalo Bills beat the Buccaneers 24-18. Moving to the Sunday games, in the Battle of New York, the Jets outlast the Giants 13-10 in overtime. I think the Giants had 7 total yards.
What a terrible game.
It was bad. All right. The Jaguars beat the Steelers 20-10. The Cowboys all over the Rams 43-20. The Vikings beat the Packers 24-10.
The Vikings won the game, but they lost that game.
Yeah, they really
Yeah.
did. Kirk Cousins goes down with the it was the Achilles, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's his final year of his contract. So any future big money he was going to be making, that's going to be put on hold at least for a little while. So we'll see what happens there. The Titans, Will Levis, banana crazy eating banana man, gets the job done 28-23. You saw he eats he ate the damn
Sideways.
peel and everything. It's what a nut. But he throws like 4 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins came alive 28-23 over the Falcons. The Dolphins beat the Patriots 31-17. The Saints beat the Colts 38-27. The Panthers outlast the Texans. They get that first win of the year 15-13. The Seahawks beat the Browns 24-20. The Broncos beat the Chiefs in Denver in the snow. Patrick Mahomes had the flu, couldn't get it done. The Ravens over the Cardinals 31-24. The Chargers beat the Bears on Sunday Night Football 30-13. Whose bright idea was it to put the Bears on Sunday Night Football?
Yeah, you gotta flex that
guy.
game out. Flex that out.
Yeah. Oh, that's bad, man. A bad call. The Raiders, as Sam said, is playing Monday night against the Lions. That game's happening right now. What's the score on that? Do you
it's 3-0.
3-0.
5.5 left in the first quarter.
Okay, cool. Tyler, we'll go with you. Your Eagles outlast the Commanders 38-31. They gave you quite a scare. You were, chicken littling all over the group chat for a while there. Tell us what you saw.
I'm cool with not playing the Commanders again. There's something about that team that they match up so well against the Eagles, and it's not just this season. I mean, it goes back to like Doug Peterson's time there and McNabb and all that good stuff. So there's just something about Washington. I know it's a rivalry, they're only an hour away from each other down the road, but they give us one hell of a time every time we play them. They're the reason why we didn't have an undefeated season last year. The Miami Dolphins got to pop their champagne last year because of the Commanders. So, and they almost did it again this year too. So, but hey, good teams find good ways to win. No matter how you get it done, a W is still a W. And I woke up this morning and my team's in first place of all of the NFL. So thank you, Broncos, and thank you, Bengals.
Yeah, so moving on to so Taylor Swift released 1989 Taylor's version. Okay, let's fucking talk about it. So obviously the Niners, they lose 31-17. Brock basically did not look very good. They said he cleared concussion protocol, surprisingly. Sam's throwing his hands in disgust.
I think it's
what
the
happened,
Raiders.
bud?
It's just the Raiders.
It's the Raiders, yeah.
The Raiders just going to Raiders.
The Raiders get a fumble, right? So they recover a fumble. The first throw, Jimmy G throws a pick in the end zone.
Hey, I think he's in first place for picks out of all quarterbacks. So.
Oh my god! Yeah. I mean, it wasn't even close.
That's bad, Jimmy. Oh, I remember that. I remember bad, Jimmy.
It by like 6 yards. If he puts that ball on the money, that's the easiest touchdown. Jesus Christ.
Haywire on the throw. Oh. Yeah. So the turning point of the game for the 49ers, back to the Niners, was obviously at the end of the third quarter. They have the ball in the 10 zone, and Brock, trying to get rid of the ball, ends up putting it right into the Bengals' hands, and they're very lucky that didn't go the other way for a touchdown. So at that point, if they don't turn the ball over there, kick a field goal or even score a touchdown on that drive, if they score a touchdown, that's a tied game, and basically everything is flipped on its head. Instead, we see just how important turnovers are, and just how important just overall for the entire game Trent Williams is. Like, not having Trent Williams, it's been bad. And then the pass rush has not been able to like they got a few sacks, but it's not sustained enough pressure all the time. And with a soft zone, you basically need your pass rushers to be constantly putting the quarterback under pressure. Otherwise, they can get picked apart on the plays that you don't get there. So
I blame
it's just, yeah.
I blame Kittle for all of this. Kittle needs to go touch some stones, light some incense, because ever since he rocked out that fuck Dallas jersey, the 49ers
it's been
have not won a game.
they got a bye week that he can run around a theater 3 times and then knock to be let in for dropping the Scottish play's name or something. I don't know, man. This is bad. But Niners are heading into the bye week. They're 5-3. They're still like, they're tied, I think, for the top of the division, or maybe they're down a half game. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't bothered to look at the standings because I was pissed.
Well,
so,
Seattle made some moves. They think
yeah,
that division is theirs for the taking, and rightfully so. Would you guys
They got
drop
Leonard Williams today?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, off the Gigantes. Yeah.
So Seattle's you're
Seattle's making a play for it.
Some light, man.
Yeah,
they can see the end of the tunnel here.
Yeah, it's I'm frustrated with the performance overall, but I think a bye week is going to be good. Be able to reset, get some guys back. Trent Williams especially. I mean, not having Debo hurts, but not having Trent is like this is a 500 team without that all world left tackle. But you get him back, and I'm sure a lot of these problems kind of fix themselves. Suddenly, Brock isn't under so much pressure. He's not he's not handing the ball off to the defense,
Yeah.
We'll see. Even though I know it was rolling the other way, but whatever.
Vince, what do you think the biggest surprise is, or biggest, disappointment for the 49ers up to this point?
Well, right now they just this last game especially, they look tired, man. Dre Greenlaw just is running out of gas, I think. Right now. I think he needs this break more than anybody, almost, I would think, out of the people that are currently playing. So I don't know, maybe he's dealing with something and he's just not able to find that extra gear.
Yeah.
It's just
the defense overall is like
it's been subpar.
They haven't been getting after the quarterback like I think all experts and fans expected the 49ers defense, that front seven, would get after the quarterback, and they haven't really done that.
Yeah,
and I think Bosa really hasn't been the game wrecker that we thought he would be.
Yeah, I think everybody just like, you signed Javon Hargrave, and then everybody thought like, okay, that's it, we're good. And I don't know, man. Maybe Bosa missing camp. He didn't get those reps in, and just the integration. I know that John Lynch is trying to find some defensive back help, and he's trying to find some edge rush help as well through the trade deadline. The trade deadline happens tomorrow, I believe, on Halloween. So I think I'm sure the phones are ringing nonstop, and we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, your line not getting to the quarterback is killing the rest of your defense.
Exactly. Yeah. Overall, sacks are not where they should be for what I would expect. So that's fun.
On the pre-show, we were texting, and I was saying the sky is falling. I was being a little silly. I don't think it's end of the world for the 49ers, but what is your concern level right now, Vince, as the resident 49er fan?
On a 10-point scale,
sure.
I would say my concern is about a 5. Okay. I'm not like ringing the alarm or anything like that, but it does make me realize like any injury going forward is gonna like amp it up even further. Like they can't afford to have anybody really miss any time, and I know that they can play a lot better, and that's part of the reason why I'm not there yet. If they were playing their best, and their best is this level, then I'm like at an 8 or a 9. But I know that they can play a lot better. We saw them play a lot better earlier this year, even, and all last year. So I'm not there yet. I'm not the sky is falling. I'm not chicken littling here.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are concerned about the offense with Brock Purdy, but he went off on a historic start. I mean, you're talking a historic run to start an NFL career. But at some point, I think we all knew that there would be some, I don't want to say a regression, but there would be a struggle. There would be something that would happen where he's going to throw some picks. He went 9 games without a pick or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, nobody does that. I mean,
So
Patrick
that's
Mahomes
so
doesn't
rare.
do that. Yeah.
It's so rare. The other thing that I think is surprising is like a Kyle Shanahan 49er team does not come back entering the fourth quarter. If they're down, they're like 0-25 or 0-30, like coming from behind. So for whatever reason, it's not an offense that's, for whatever reason, able to get the ball downfield.
It's a front runner.
It's a front running offense. So
part of
I
that is
find
quarterback play, you know?
Yeah, I find that interesting.
Yeah.
But I think this is I do think, me personally, I don't have access to doctors. I'm not on an NFL team,
Right.
and I don't want to play doctor, but it's our radio show and we're going to play doctor. Is
right.
I'll
go steal my niece's stethoscope.
I don't think Brock Purdy probably should have even been in this game. And I'm not saying he threw these interceptions because of the concussion, but when you're dealing with somebody's brain, and towards the end of the game, when he hit the back of his head on the field again, you saw his hands go to his helmet, and maybe it's nothing, but when I start seeing that, I'm watching it in real time, and I saw his hands do this to his helmet. Something happened. He felt something. He heard something. There's a tingle. Yeah. Saw some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. My dad jumped in on the 10-point scale. He said that he's at about a 6. So, I mean, we're close. We're both, he's slightly more worried. I get that, but I'm just not white on the bad side yet. I'm still like, I'm right on the middle right now. I can see it going both ways. So
for sure.
All right.
Well, the Raiders are playing right now. Surprisingly, their defense is holding up pretty good. They gave up that interception. Jimmy G threw interception into the end zone. And they actually made the Lions punt the ball, so the Raiders offense get the ball back. It's right now, it's 4th and 2, and the Raiders are going for it. And it's incomplete.
Oh man.
Raiders are gonna Raider. So
yeah, the Warriors.
So the defense is playing pretty damn well right now, and they've had 2 opportunities to put some points on the board, and it's 0-3.
Nice.
All right.
Well,
let's
get into the point boards of the NFL pick'ems. I'm going to take control here.
Please
and
do.
Go over here. Alrighty. I decided to put the football fight in America because Halloween tomorrow, baby. Vince, you had a great week. I was kind of hot on your heels, and then you kind of took off here me on a little bit. I got you on one game, but for the most part, you're almost at 60. I'm at 50. Sam is at 48, and unfortunately, Daniel has fallen under the 500 range, and he's now 43 and 45. So,
we'll get a lot of green under my name. I ain't mad at it.
Well, we all picked the Lions, so we'll see where that's at the end of the day.
It does. Yeah, that's not going to affect the standings in any.
Yeah, not at all. So we'll get right into it here. So the Titans and the Steelers are your Thursday night game. Steelers are favored at -3. What are we going with, guys?
You know what? I'm taking the Titans with Will Levis, banana eating machine.
Okay.
I think one other podcast calls him Bananarama, but I don't want to do that. But yeah, Nanners. I think we'll call him Nanners.
All right.
I'm gonna go Titans. Yeah.
I'm gonna pick him up in one of my leagues here, so I'm gonna go Titans as well. We'll wait for Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel will send his picks later.
Your first game on Sunday here is the Dolphins versus the Chiefs in Kansas City. Chiefs are favored at -2.5. That's a pretty low pick 'em, to be honest with you.
This is the game that needs to be flexed into prime time.
I know, right?
I
want this one on Sunday night. Hell yeah.
I'm taking the Chiefs at home, healthy Mahomes. I'm gonna roll with the Chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it is the Chiefs as well. Just being at home is going to make the difference, and Patrick Mahomes not being flu riddled.
Okay, I too am going to take the Chiefs here.
Okay.
Up next is the Vikings. You'll see why I said that. I said that here. The Vikings at the Falcons. That spread has jumped up greatly to -4.5 to the Falcons with Cousins out. So
Yeah,
I'm going with the Falcons. Kirk Cousins arguably playing statistically the best season he's had, and he's out. Falcons have been surprisingly competitive for me. I'm taking the Falcons.
Yeah, that injury I think it's too much for the Vikings to overcome right now. I'm going to pick the Falcons as well.
Well, I'm gonna go the same boat. I was gonna jump ship, but
yeah, the Flackens. Yep.
Yeah, you see that? I was gonna jump ship too, but we'll hold on to it. We'll see about another game here. Up next here is the Bears at the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are favored at -7.
Yeah, I got to go with the Saints. Bears are not a good football team.
They're terrible. I mean, you gonna be brave and pick the Bears? Because I'm not.
No,
no,
I will not. Rams at the Packers here. The Packers are favored at -3. It's also going to be a chilly one up there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the home team. I think if this was in LA or not Green Bay, I would take the Rams, but I think the Packers are going to win it at home.
I also want to point this out too, that Stafford has a torn muscle in his thumb, and he's day-to-day.
Oh, shit.
Right. So this is if Stafford plays, the Rams win. The problem is we don't know if Stafford's going to play.
Correct.
The Packers are just not playing well. I'm going to pick the Rams either way. I'm going to pick the Rams.
I'm going to go the Packers only because I don't trust the Rams run as much up in Lambeau with that weather. And that thumb it's too much for me to overcome here.
Right.
Up next here is the Commanders versus the Patriots in New England. New England is favored at -3.
I'm taking the Commanders.
Yeah.
They're very competitive. Patriots, they haven't shown me nothing this year.
Give me the Manders, yeah. The Commandos, yeah.
I'm gonna go with Patriots.
Okay.
For selfish reasons.
Right.
There's no reason for you to not pick the Commanders except for they're in my division.
Right. Yeah, it's a chance for you to pick up a game on me as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
Up next is the Seahawks in Baltimore playing the Ravens, who are favored at -5.5.
Ravens, man.
Yeah, I got to go with the Ravens. For
selfish reasons.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this new pickup that they got is gonna be the game changer for them, but I think they're playing with some confidence. I know I'm gonna go Seahawks. I think that they want to win. They see that they can grab this division from the 49ers. I'm gonna go Seahawks.
Okay.
Up next is the Buccaneers and the Texans in Houston. Sorry, and Texans are favored at -3.
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans. They had a chance to win this last game. It just kind of got away from them. Carolina gets their first win on a game-winning field goal that took forever. I think it took like 3 attempts to finally get it in the books. But I think the Texans win at home.
Okay, I'm gonna take the Buccaneers. This is just a gut feeling. I don't really have any reason one way or the other to pick that way. I'm just that's what I think is gonna happen.
I too am gonna go with the Buccaneers. I think Chris Godwin looked good. I think that we're gonna get a little bit more of that, and Evans looked great as well too. So I'm gonna go with the Bucks. I'm feeling the gut on that one as well. Alrighty, up next is the Cardinals at the Browns, and the Browns are favored at -7.
Yeah,
man,
Browns.
the Cardinals are they're like maybe 2 or 3 pieces away from like really being competitive. I mean,
they're 2 or 3 pieces away from being able to really only lose by like 3 points.
Yeah, well, I think that defense plays way above their level, and
they're playing above their heads on the defensive side, but Josh Downs is actually not going to be playing next game. They're going to turn to either the rookie or Kyler if Kyler's able to go. I'm going to pick the Browns.
I got the Browns.
Okay. What can Brown do for you is where I'm going as well. All right. Up next is the Colts at the Panthers, and the Colts are favored at -3.
I got to take the Colts, even with Gardner Minshew. The Panthers got their first win. They're still a team that's rebuilding, so got to take the Colts.
Okay.
Yeah, even with finally getting the first win of the season. I'm with you, man. I just the Colts are just a much better team than the Panthers. I don't see it. I don't see them getting it done again the rest of the year. If I'm being honest, they might sneak another one by, but yeah, that's a bad team.
If though, I'm curious though, if the Panthers, well, I don't know if they're necessarily tanking, but they're doing a great job if they're, trying to go for it. But do they need another quarterback? Do you think they'll trade that number 1 pick?
No, I think they're gonna they would have to try to build up everything else, like try to improve the offensive line. I mean, that's part of the reason why like a lot of quarterbacks end up washing out of this league is they don't have,
no supporting cast.
There's no supporting
Nothing.
cast. The offensive line is shit. I mean, hey, there's my first curse. It's not fucked, but there we go.
You had one earlier, but you were well past the 4-minute mark.
Did I really?
You didn't break the record.
I must have missed it. I didn't realize that I didn't curse that I did drop an F-bomb earlier. Oh,
you were past the 4-minute mark, so you were good. I didn't need to mention it. You didn't break your world record yet.
When was it? You have to tell me. I don't know.
I think you were at like the 6-minute mark or something.
We'll listen back because I don't remember it.
Up next is the Giants at the Raiders. This is probably, if I'm looking at the Raiders schedule at this point, given how they're playing, this is the most winnable game that the Raiders have, and the Raiders are favorite with -3.
Yeah,
yes.
You do not win this game. Blow it the hell up. Raiders have to win this one.
So I'm taking the Raiders.
Yeah.
I'm taking it also for 2 reasons. They need to win, and Giants are in my division. Alrighty. Well, I know what I'm going with this one. This is I put the Jets here. This is incorrect. My apologies, guys. My apologies. This is the big game of the week. This should have been slotted as a Sunday night game, but I get why the Bills and the Bengals are the Sunday night game. Cowboys and the Eagles. They're in Philadelphia, and the Eagles are a favorite at -3.
I'm taking the Eagles. I just think the Eagles haven't put together that perfect game that we've seen so many times last season, but they're doing just enough to beat who they need to beat. They're 7-1. They're doing what they have to do to win. I'm taking the Eagles.
I don't remember who said it, but there was some, I don't know, maybe it was Eisen who said it, but he said that these Eagles remind him of like that dynasty era of Tom Brady and the Patriots, where not, the Patriots have some seasons where they would just blow teams out. But then there were some seasons where they were just winning, but they weren't blowing teams out. They were just good teams finding a good way to win through, whatever grit and grind they had to get the win. So I don't know if I necessarily see that yet, but I'm starting to. They win ugly almost every week, it seems like.
Yeah.
Real quick, guys. Raiders Lions. The Raiders defense is surprisingly holding. Detroit gets another field goal. It's only 6-0 with 12:23 left in the second quarter. But the defense is surprisingly playing with their hair on fire right now. If Jimmy G could just get the ball to an open receiver for once.
Yeah,
I know, right?
They need easy ones. They just need Devontae Adams with a curl, or get Renfro in, but that's not going to happen. Just get some easy ones for him. Build some rhythm,
So,
your Sunday night game is the Bills at Cincinnati, and the Bengals are favored at -3.
I'm taking the Bengals. I think they're going to be riding mighty high. They look like they fixed this offense. The defense looks a lot better than I expected. The past couple of weeks. I think they're on a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah,
that is correct. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals team found something. I think this is kind of like the moment we've been waiting for. I think we all had them a little bit better than what they currently are. I think they get the win.
Yep.
All right, so the Bills with the mediocre signing of the week get Leonard Fournette.
Playoff
so
Lenny.
that complicates their running back room a little bit more, but I mean, is it enough? I know that they weren't really thrilled with what Latavius Murray's been doing. So we'll see if Lenny's the difference maker for them. I think I'm gonna go with the Bills winning this game.
Yeah.
I think it's their turn to put it together a little bit
Yeah,
on the big stage.
that running back signing made no sense. Like, let's get an old running back and replace him with an older running back. Maybe they're not older than Murray, but leg
Well, I mean,
wise,
they lost Harris. They lost Harris, and so they're trying to piece it together. I think unless they can make a trade for somebody else. So we'll see what happens between now and Tuesday at what is it, 4:00, I think, or something like that.
I just thought that they might try to trade for Dalvin Cook. So I hear that he's on.
Honestly,
the block.
guys, if the Raiders lose tonight, I could honestly see this team trading many players tomorrow morning. So
there's a rumor mill going around that the Eagles are trying to bolster up the backfield some more, and I don't see it. I mean, I'd love to live off the hopium, but there's some idea that if the Raiders do lose this game, that they're going to call and see if they can get Jacobs from them, which I don't see why you would do that when you have Swift, but hey, the more the merrier. I'd rather take more secondary help.
It's weird. The Lions never really used Swift up to his capabilities. And now the Eagles, I mean, he flashed real hard in that first game, but he's been good. But I think that he could be doing more. Is there maybe they're seeing something that we don't as fans?
That's true.
You know, like two different coaching staffs now, just don't have all the trust in the world in him, which is a little weird. I don't know, because I see amazing stuff whenever he touches the ball. I don't get it, but
I think the thought was that with this O line that he would produce even more, which he is. He is producing a lot more than what he's probably done in some seasons in Detroit. But I don't think I fully understand it, but I'm not going to argue it if Jacobs becomes an Eagle either. So
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go with the Bills as well, not because of the Leonard Fournette signing, but because the Bills played on Thursday night. They had a long rest to get to this Sunday game. I think they're going to be a little bit more fresh than the Bengals are after, let's face it. When you play the 49ers, you get beat up. You may have got the win, but, you may feel it throughout the whole entire week. So I'm going to go with the Bills as well.
Yeah.
Your Monday night game is the Chargers at the Jets. I don't know why this should have been flipped around from the Bills and the Bengals, but whatever, to each their own.
Right.
Well, I mean, they don't start flexing just yet. We're still a couple of weeks away from teams being flexed in and out of different spots. So
it should have been Cowboys and Eagles on Monday night or Bills and Bengals on Monday night, and then those two games would be the Sunday night game. Me personally,
I would think.
Yeah.
Well, they made the schedule assuming Aaron Rodgers would be playing this game, so
that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, can I just say it? We're all gonna go Chargers, right?
Yeah.
You know what though? I've actually been watching some Chargers games, and this team under what's their coach, Staley?
Yeah.
The Chargers are like, they're the same as the Raiders. Like, how do they give some of these games away? I don't know. Maybe I just want the Jets to win. Fuck it. I'm gonna go with the Jets at home. I'm rolling the dice.
Okay.
All right.
JETSSS. Well, that is your picks for the week. This is gonna bother me if I don't do this. All right, there we go.
Add it, babe.
And we'll go from there.
Nice hustle out there.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay, so that wraps up football, I believe, unless anybody's got anything else.
Nope.
Okay. Let's move on to baseball. Bob Melvin is coming back home to the Bay Area. He's going to be the manager for the Giants. We thought he got permission to talk to him last week when
How weird that he got that twice with two different organizations and they just let him walk.
Mm-hmm.
What an odd thing. Like, I don't know. Look, I don't want to be a tinfoil here, but obviously there's been some shakeups between Bob Melvin and the front offices of the two teams that he's been with. But do you think Bob Melvin has any part of this too? Do you think he's also kind of an a-hole behind the scenes? And
no,
I know that
no,
the players
Bob
love
Melvin,
him.
No,
yeah,
no.
Every player has. I don't recall ever hearing any player ever not liking Bob Melvin. Like, and that's part of his upfront nature. And he's, he tells you what he expects of you, and he tells you where you stand as a player. So a lot of players really respond well to that, even if they don't
Yeah,
like what they're
I'm not
hearing.
tapped
So.
into San Diego baseball, but from what I understand, there was just beef with the president of baseball ops trying to run the team like a calculator, and he wasn't feeling it. Is how I
So
heard it.
I'm still pretty active in, well, at least going through the Reddit for San Diego Padres, and they're very upset about it. I mean, a lot of fans are upset about it, and they're calling for AJ Preller's head because the GM for them, they want him gone because they let him walk for nothing, which is exactly what the A's did, which I find so odd. But welcome to.
Well, I think this
back
is
to
the
Bay.
problem. This is the problem with modern baseball is you have these GMs / president of operations that are running their teams out of a spreadsheet. It's why Farhan Zaidi hired Gabe Kapler, and that's, for me, that's why I'm rooting for the Texas Rangers in the World Series is, Bochy's kind of like one of the last managers that is truly a manager, that's actually managing a baseball team. I think it's a more interesting product when you have a manager of that caliber, or when you're allowing managers to actually manage the game. I think it's a better product. I think it's more fun. I think you see players get motivated for their skippers. As far as Bob Melvin going to the Giants, I think I'm glad for him. I'm happy for him because he's a former Giant. He comes back to the Bay, former Cal Bear. But honestly, I can honestly see this being a 1-year deal, because if they stink again, this roster is not very good. The Giants roster is not all that great. You're probably slightly below 500. Who are you going to add? I don't really see Farhan blowing up the bank here, breaking the piggy bank and going after a prize free agent. And it's the Giants have shown it, when they do go after the big free agent, they don't get him for whatever reason.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they can't close the deal. So I could easily see this as a 1-year deal, meaning that Farhan is out and a new guy comes in and is going to hire his own manager. So I don't know. Go Bob, but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
And it seems like the fan base really isn't excited for Bob Melvin, in the sense of, it just seems like the fans aren't really excited for Bob Melvin, which, in some ways I can understand, but at the same time, I think it's more or less about the roster. If you had a really good roster, you're probably more excited because you're thinking a manager can come in and maybe fix some things and communicate some things. But this roster is not very good.
Yeah. You brought it up just a second ago. Let's talk World Series real quick. Rangers versus the Diamondbacks, a team that everybody had going into the year. Two of them, they, of course, they had them at the bottom of the standings, not in the World Series.
I think I had the Rangers last year, and then I was like, oh, they screwed me. And then look at that.
Right. So 2 years ago, both of these teams had over 100 losses. The Rangers had 102 losses in 2021. The Diamondbacks had 110. So that's 212 combined losses 2 years ago between these two teams, and now they're facing off in the World Series. It shows you how quick you can turn it around if you do it right, I don't know what to say, man.
Well, they're playing right now, and the Rangers are up 3-0 in the bottom of the fourth.
Okay, yeah. So
I'm way more surprised about the D-backs getting there than the Rangers. Because the Rangers, maybe it's just because I paid more attention to the Rangers and their rebuilding process and the new stadium, and there was a lot of talk of young talent coming up. They spent a lot of money in free agency. And then Bruce Bochy, there was a lot of talk of this roster was a good roster, and you're bringing in a manager of his caliber to kind of get them into the playoffs. Arizona, we knew about a lot of the young players, but I didn't expect them to put it together, this season.
Yeah, they still felt a year away. Honestly,
yeah, I was thinking more
I was
like next
thinking when
season.
we saw them in Phoenix last year, I was like, oh, it's probably 2 or 3 years. They'll probably be pretty
That's
good.
what yeah,
Um,
exactly.
they got there a little quicker than we thought they would. Yeah, and Scherzer's a horse. uh, there we are. There's your Bruce Bochy impression. And just to, let's just talk about the A's Vegas drama real quick. They're trying to get a ballot initiative in Nevada to try to stop the $380 million funding from going through. And apparently, so what needs to happen is they need a little more than 102,000 signatures across all 4 congressional districts in Nevada. So about 26,000 per district, basically, to get qualified. So if you have friends in Nevada, tell them to sign that to sign that thing and stop the A's from moving at least to Las Vegas, and taking your money away from you. And that has to happen before the end of late June to next year to qualify. Also, it sounds like the timeline, the A's had initially hoped that they could blow up to demolish the Tropicana site in the summer, this coming summer in 2024. That's no longer going to happen. They're going to wait until the ballot initiative hits before that happens. So they're talking demolition like in December 2024. Maybe even January 2025, and then just start building it up and have it ready for 2028. And that's assuming
at this point, it's just so stupid because baseball and John Fisher's dumbass is saying that the timeline is the most important thing and we need the stadium now. It just, because they came into Vegas with their ducks not in a row and changing sites and blah, blah, blah. It's just pushing the timeline out even further. And everything is done at Howard Terminal. Just scale the stadium plans down. Everybody has this idea that the A's were gonna, all they were negotiating was a stadium at Howard Terminal. No, they wanted to build apartments and condos and retail and this and that. And the reason why they were $100 million apart or whatever, $80 million, $83 million apart with the city of Oakland and this stadium deal was because it's like, how many acres? 50, 60 acres or something? How many acres is the Howard Terminal thing? It's this massive site.
It was about 50. Yeah, it was like 55 or something like that.
Right. It's like this massive site where the stadium is not occupying all 50 acres or whatever it is. It's much smaller than that. The A's could close the gap financially by, instead of building out 55 acres, build out 25. Build out 20. You can easily scale this thing down and still have a ton of stuff around it to get it done in Oakland and bring it in with the financial gap covered.
Yeah.
They wanted the whole thing.
Yeah. And you don't even, like, you can still have the whole thing. You just don't have to do the whole thing all at once. You don't have to do it
and
all
the other
at
thing,
once.
The other argument is, the other issue is they bought the Alameda County half of the current site and publicly said they did that because they need a backup to Howard Terminal in case something happens. And they're not even talking about that. They're not even talking about using the current site as a backstop option, which is what they used it, is what they told the county why they're buying it. So it's just, none of it makes sense. It's this owner's too cheap. He doesn't want to pay for anything. So hopefully Vegas citizens show up, sign the ballot, sign the initiative, and
Reno citizens too.
Yeah,
I mean, that's your money that they're fucking with.
Absolutely.
So,
and the other thing is, even if they stay in Oakland and John Fisher remains the owner, it's like, for us, the fight is just beginning. It's just going to keep going because A's fans, we're not going to be content until this guy sells the team one way or the other. Like this, people like him should not own a baseball team.
Agreed.
100%.
Yeah. So I think I'm tapped out on this subject. I think we need to
hear
move
you.
on. We could spend all night on this, but let's move on to basketball, to the Warriors.
Real quick.
Yeah. Oh,
Monday
go
Night
ahead.
Football update. The Raiders defense holds and gives up another field goal. 9-0,
Son of a
8:08
bitch.
left in the second quarter. This is like the best defensive showing the Raiders have had in like 10 years. And it's
Yeah.
just being completely squandered right now.
Maybe 20. I don't know, man. It's
so-
been a long time.
It's so freaking sad. It's so sad. Anyway.
Okay, so on to the Warriors. They lose opening night 108-104 against Phoenix, but then have won 2 games in a row. They win by 8 at Sacramento. They win by 11 at Houston. Steph Curry is him, as the title of our episode says.
That Houston one was so good though.
He went absolutely nuclear at the end and was able to pull the win out.
Oh, no. You gotta sell it more than that. He not only did to go nuclear, but he made Dylan the Clown Brooks just look absolutely foolish.
Yeah.
He broke him twice on one play.
It was twice on one play, absolutely. Oh, it's so beautiful to see. You can call us haters if you want, but yeah, that's exactly what we are. This is a fuck Dylan Brooks podcast, I believe. Yeah, so I feel comfortable saying that. With all due respect, which is none, fuck Dylan Brooks. Oh, got him. Okay. So right now they are playing currently at New Orleans, and I think it's halftime right now. Or
it is, yeah.
Halftime.
It's halftime.
Yeah, I mean they're just showing highlights right now. I'll give you a score in a little bit. They also have games at home against Sacramento on Wednesday. Friday they go to Oklahoma City, and then Sunday they are at Cleveland. We'll have scores for all of those games next week. And right now they're 5th in the West, 2 wins, 1 loss. Obviously, it's way too early to talk anything else. This is just trying to stack up wins as we go. Chris Paul has looked pretty good. He's taking care of the ball. That's a huge part of it, right?
He has 25 assists in 4 games, and 12 of them have been to Klay Thompson, which to me, Klay Thompson looks like he's rusty as hell. Like there's no reason for him to look this bad, but it's only 4 games. I'm not panic meter's not there.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be, that injury, those leg injuries, maybe they just fucked with him enough that he's no longer the guy that he was before, and maybe this is the new Klay.
They took years off his career, unfortunately.
The Achilles, especially
big injuries like that.
Back to back.
Yeah.
I'm looking, to answer your question earlier, Vince, it's 59-57. The Warriors are up. Going into the third quarter here, but
yeah, it looks like the third quarter is about to tip off.
I am looking for Klay Thompson to be of old, and retrospectively meaning that I don't need him dribbling anymore. I don't need him trying to find his shot and driving down to the hoop. With Chris Paul there, let Chris Paul dribble. Let him find you. Let Draymond dribble. Let him find you. Like, you just move around and be a set shooter for me. And I think that's going to be the most valid thing that we could do with Klay Thompson at this point, if those injuries really took away what his capabilities of jumping and moving were.
Right. You want to hear something wild? Chris Paul in his career coming off the bench, undefeated.
Well, he's gonna have to go about. Right? He's probably gonna
right.
He's probably going to get like 60
how many
games.
Times? How many times has that happened?
Literally, this year's the first time it's ever happened to him.
I was thinking maybe 6 or 7 because of coming off of injuries, or things of that nature.
Started coming off of those, like coming back. So
we're probably going to need. We're probably going to need 60 more of those undefeated wins off the bench. Okay,
I won't be mad.
I think the only I watched the Houston game. The only thing that concerns me is, and it's always, I think, concerned Warriors fans, is just the lack of size. There's just certain times that they just look tiny. And, but I mean, even though they were super small and Curry was off the floor and Chris Paul was on, I mean, it was with him and Jonathan Kuminga and Moody, it was like another starting team. It was like they look good with Chris Paul. So they actually increased the lead, and the starters gave up the lead later in the game. Of course, they won the game, but they pushed that lead to I think 10 or 12 somewhere in the third quarter, something like that.
Yeah. What
So I think they Chris Paul stabilizes that second unit as so many people predicted.
I like that Kuminga is the hype, right? Kuminga and Chris Paul were the hype this season, but Moody has just been a godsend. I mean, he's averaging like almost 2 steals a night. I mean, he's averaging almost 6 rebounds a night. On top of that, you're getting a solid 10 to 15 out of him every night. I'll take that any day of the week. So I agree. Chris Paul has stabilized this so much. Oh, I also wanted to note, Damian Lillard went absolutely nuclear in like his first game. I think he had like 42, 43 points, something like that.
Yeah.
On the game on Saturday night, he had 9 points, 6 turnovers, 2 from like 13 from 3. It was god awful. The highs and the lows of I guess having Damian Lillard on your team and he plays 0 defense. Same with Jordan Poole.
His replacement over there in Portland.
Yeah.
Man,
Scooter.
You knew they were gonna, they were a young team, they're rebuilding, they're finding their identity, but it looks pretty bad up there.
Yeah.
little bleak up in Portland. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
right,
I do want to say one thing too. I think to your point, Sam, there's only one big guy that I can see that the Warriors maybe could afford down the road and he would fit perfectly. It would only be Steven Adams. When I realistically think about
Isn't he injured?
He is, which might
that's why we might be able to get him.
Yeah, it might bode well. I mean, you think Andrew Bogut 2.0, that's Andrew Bogut 2.0. So if there's ever a possibility and a capability
if we could,
breaking news.
Yeah.
Breaking news. Josh Jacobs runs the ball for a touchdown. It is 6-9. The field goal unit is coming onto the field to kick the extra point. But this drive, guys, Josh Jacobs went eight runs for 75 yards. So
oh wow.
So
you put the ball in the hands of a talented player, and the talented player made talented plays and got you a touchdown. That's wild.
He marched down the field. Jimmy G did make a couple of plays. He did make a couple of plays to keep the drive alive. So
what's the over and under that Jacobs will get me 60 points? That's what I need to win this week is 60 points.
No. No.
Yeah, I got lambed this week. So
real quick, I forgot to bring this up in the football bit, but since we did the update, did you guys hear about this locker room meeting that players had with coaches and it was
for the Raiders?
Yeah, so there was a players meeting with coaches, so all hands on deck meeting, and apparently it was said nothing was off limits, and it was led by Devontae Adams, Max Crosby, Josh Jacobs, and everybody spoke. Like all players spoke, all coaches spoke, and apparently players were venting their displeasure of scheme, of coaching, of everything. And apparently everybody walked away very happy. Apparently everybody went out and had some bonding experiences to kind of reset the season. It was a little bit of a shocker, but as more information is coming out, hopefully it's a good thing. But where all this smoke was coming from about, McDaniels getting into it with Renfro and the Chandler Jones stuff, like things were getting kind of weird. Because we know about Josh Jacobs, Josh McDaniels. We know I've called him a suspect for many weeks now, a suspect character. But apparently, all is well in Raider land as far as what's inside the building. But
I'm still holding my breath on that one.
Winning is the best deodorant. You got to start winning.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I also think that I trust McDaniels as far as I can throw him, and I feel like he may be saying the right things in the locker room, but he may hold that grudge outside of the locker room.
He ain't the one, guys.
Yeah, no, I also can only trust McDaniels as far as I can throw him in. Also, I have bad shoulders, so I can't throw him at all.
Well, speaking of
7-9, so a little bit of hope for me. So
speaking of not using your arms in your hands here, let's go across the pond here and talk about some other football, huh?
There you go. Like yeah. That? All right, not bad. So Wrexham, they get the win 2-0 at Notts County. That's the team that was also promoted with them to League Two. So right now, they are in third place, 30 points. They're tied with Knott's actually for second. I assume goal differential is the differential.
Knott's County,
that's
home
better.
to Knott's Berry Farm. Same
Not
family.
quite, not quite.
Well, here's I'm glad you said that, Vince. The goal differentials, goals, 32 and 27, so forward and allowed, right? Knott's County 33 and 28, so they are super close.
Yeah.
So it's not much
They're
really
touching
separation.
tips. They're touching
Yeah.
tips.
It's not much of separation here.
They're crossing streams. There's an FA Cup game at versus Mansfield Town next week on Saturday, right? So
yeah, and then they get back into the regular season on the 18th against Agriton Stanley. So,
okay.
But yeah,
Cool.
looks to be fun here. I can't.
Yeah. All right, so as far as back over here in the Bay Area, the San Jose Earthquakes, they did end up losing their playoff game at Sporting Kansas City. The season is over. They lost in penalty kicks 4-2, and they just could. There was a couple of chances to score. They couldn't quite put it in. It was a little bit disappointing, but honestly, this team, I kind of expected a draw, and if you don't go to penalties, it ends up being a draw anyway. Because
don't worry. I
they
mean,
can't really score, and this is
team's
actually promising.
This team's gonna reload in the offseason and acquire more talent, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
with
they got
the
an owner
owner
that is willing to. I can't even.
Who's
spit it out,
always
man.
in.
I can't even spit it out. For those of you who haven't been paying attention, John Fisher, of Fuck John Fisher fame, owns the San Jose Earthquakes as well. So if the front office can find a way to get some scoring talent on the cheap, maybe they'll be able to repeat this again, or maybe they just fall right back to the basement as again. We'll see what happens, man. Fuck John Fisher. There's my Earthquakes update. Fuck John Fisher.
And he also just a couple of weeks ago was insulting the stadium.
Yeah.
And saying it's already outdated and it's basic and this and that. It's like, dude, you
just
said
built
this
the
is the
fucking
stadium
thing.
you wanted. You get the stadium, you're selling it out, and then not one dime goes to keeping players, adding players, nothing.
Yeah.
Like
he probably spends more on the
Shocker.
outdoor bar than he does on his players.
It's close. It's about even. It's about even. There is some actually like pretty good alcohols in that bar. And there is some top shelf in there. So I will give credit where credit is due and say they probably spend about the same on the bar as they do on talent on the field. You know what? But the coaching staff able to get to get the team into the playoffs on a shoestring budget is it's a story we've told before about John Fisher owned teams. So that's great, and it does provide a little bit of a pep in your step as an Earthquakes fan, even temporarily, even though you don't get to host a playoff game.
They just need to get Landon Donovan to come out of retirement, and then that's when they'll win.
He's about 10 years too far out of retirement, man. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so that's it for footy.
Speaking of losing, let's talk about losing some more.
Yeah. Okay. So on to hockey for the fun part.
The Sharks are coming for that 92-93 record, baby.
They're coming for the most losses in franchise history record for sure. They lose. This is a road trip. They're on a massive road trip. They lose in Florida, in Tampa, in Carolina, and in Washington, which was the one game I thought they maybe had a chance at. And they've only scored 2 goals in those 4 games. There's just not a lot of offense. They're currently 8 losses, 0 wins, and 1 overtime loss, which is, I didn't even have to update this part. I didn't even have to look. You're already 8th in the Pacific last week and dead last in the West. You didn't win. You didn't go to overtime in any of those games. You're still 8th and 16th. I don't even have to check that. I just know it.
Yeah.
So upcoming games are back home against Vancouver on Thursday and Saturday hosting Pittsburgh.
So they could get a win against. I mean, they could.
Yeah,
That's probably the
you know,
most likely. Pittsburgh, we can already chalk them as an L. I will count that as an L before even
yeah.
the puck
So
drops.
yeah, you know what? Let's just do a little fun little thing each week. We're gonna call it the win of the week. Okay, so we're gonna say this is the game, Thursday against Vancouver. If they're gonna win a game this coming week, it'll be that game. All right.
Now,
So
does
that's
a tie count as a win?
no, there are no ties because you just go to overtime and it's overtime losses.
That's true. But if you get a point, do you count that as a win?
Call it a draw. Call that a tie, I guess. Sure. All right. Just emotionally, it's a tie.
All right.
No, it's a
So
loss.
against Vancouver, it's their
That's
best
your win of
odds
the
to
week.
get a point. That's their best
Yeah,
odds.
That's your
We'll
best
give them
chance.
that.
Yeah.
We'll give them that.
Yeah.
We'll
Push
give
it
them
to overtime. We'll see what happens. All right. So here comes another emotional blow, but like, you know, kind of a fun emotional blow, I guess. Joe Thornton officially retired from the NHL. He posted a shirtless, wearing only a hat video of him officially announcing his retirement. Brody Brazil asked the most important question: are we sure Jumbo was only shirtless?
that.
He's definitely been interviewed holding like, you know, like equipment bag over his junk and nothing else, like with Brody and Curtis Brown just talking.
Why he's called
chopping
Jumbo.
it up. That's yeah. Jumbo is not afraid of just hanging out in the buff. So congrats on a hell of a career. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. His number 19 will be in the rafters at a time to be announced later, and I'm sure that's probably coming soon. He didn't play at all last season, so we kind of knew, but we didn't get the official word.
Yeah.
So
well, I know we're getting towards the end of the podcast here, but I have a quick question for you.
Okay.
You're starting to build the Sharks Mount Rushmore. Obviously, Patrick's there, Jumbo's there.
Yep.
Are you adding anybody else on there? You leaving those two spots empty?
Yeah. Oh, so I'm gonna just assume franchise has been around for 30 something years. We can pick 4 players. I'm gonna go with the other 2 players right now as Brent Burns and Joe Pavelski.
Well, okay. I didn't pick them because they're still playing.
Well, okay, no. So you're talking only retired players?
Only
then?
retires. Only
Retired players in Sharks history. Dan Boyle then, and
I think Dan one's a good one. Gino? Okay.
Yeah, Evgeny Nabokov. So that would be if we're talking only retired players. That's my.
I thought Nabby too. I just don't know if he. I mean, obviously he's longevity wise, but. Ooh.
Oh no, he was the. He played really well in quite a few playoff games when the rest of the team in front of him didn't play well. I'm thinking specifically of the 4 overtime game against Dallas in Game 6, where he was standing on his head and Ryan Clough was the only guy who could do anything all night, you know. But yeah. So
is Joe a Hall of Famer?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
First ballot.
Is he going in as a Shark?
He spent 8 years in Boston to start his career, but he spent 15 in San Jose, and then he had like a year in Florida and another year in Toronto. So
right,
he's
is
definitely going in as a Shark.
You go in with the team, right?
Yeah. So it'll be a Sharks logo underneath his statue.
Yeah,
he's done. So
is that going to be their first Hall of Famer, or do they have players?
Well, I mean, there's been players that have played for the Sharks that have made the Hall of Fame, but in terms of like their primary team being the Sharks, Jumbo and Patty are going to be the first 2.
Right.
Those will be your first 2.
How long do they have to wait to get in?
I think it's only 3 years, so I think it's getting close. Like, I know in baseball and in football and in basketball, they make you wait a little bit longer, unless you die. But hockey, I think it's just 3 years, because I remember Mario Lemieux, he had retired for 3 years. He was in the Hall of Fame, and then he came out of retirement and played like for 4 more years after the fact.
I remember when he was like, when he scored a goal, I think it was like one of the ESPN guys was the Hall of Famer with another goal.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time you're like, it's a future Hall of Famer doing it, not a current Hall of Famer. They got they got to like chip away at the plaque and, you know, redo some of the numbers, you know, the career
And
goals.
what's crazy
or whatever.
is he put up numbers. Like he was.
Well, I mean, he had retired because of his back,
right.
You know, and after a few years away, his back was able to heal properly. He was able to still play at a high level for a couple more years after that.
Yeah.
So it does make sense, you know. Yeah. So I didn't expect this conversation to go that way, but yeah, there's my Mount Rushmore. If you're asking, we put Gino and Dan Boyle of retired players only, along with Jumbo and Patty. So, there you go.
I was curious only because I didn't know if you were going to also look at Braun too, at Justin Braun, but
Justin Braun's not good. No.
I mean, he played a longevity and had most success with the Sharks.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he wasn't successful enough, like with the Shark, like you know, he was a very solid player for many years, but Boiler is like a borderline Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's gonna get in, but like he's somebody that's gonna be in the mix. You know, people that they talk about, maybe yes, maybe no. Gino's another one that he, like, in a down year, he might sneak in, you know, like those are two guys that are that if they do get in, it will be like Sharks logos, like for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
If they do get in. So,
for
but
sure.
You know, hell of a career for all of those players, but especially Jumbo, who we're acknowledging.
Yep.
My dad says 3 years is correct for hockey. So thanks, Dad, for the update.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thanks, Pops.
Well, that's it for me on hockey. I got nothing else there.
Yeah, I think that covers it. Anything else for the good of the order?
No,
I'm good.
No? Okay. All right. Well, then let's wrap this bad boy up. You're listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe on YouTube and hit that bell to get alerts for when we go live. Follow us on Instagram at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into our DMs, baby. We would love to chat it up with you. Let's go and have some dinner now. Good night, people.
Later, guys.
Later.
Later.